Mike?
On the mic with Mike.
On the mic with Mike?
On the mic with Mike.
I'm on the mic with Mike? He's like a guru.
No, he's a businessman with a great radio show.
And he supports the nonprofits.
Watch his show and grow.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time. On the mic with Mike brings in our man, Jimmy Comer.
Hey, Mike.
Who does some big things. And when the big dog comes, he brings the heat. Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Comer, RBI Services, but he is a man about town with the nonprofit community. Shout out to the Ford Foundation, as well as our good friend, Steph Beck, who is, and Amy Rose, you're upcoming. But today you brought with us the man with the Synapse logo in the background. I'm not going to steal your thunder. Jimmy Comer, explain who you brought with you.
So I brought Steve Peterson. He is one of the owners of Synapse. Synapse is a network I've belonged to for a while. That's how Steve and I met. When you and I talked about this, the whole Community First Connection show, it's because people don't understand the nonprofit community. It's a business. Yes. It is a major business. It's the fourth largest employer in the nation. And, like I said, it brings in $1 billion to the national economy. And one of the things that just makes me roll my eyes is when I hear a business person go, man, nonprofits will just bleed you dry. And I want to convince people that's not the way to look at them. These are business partners in the community. They need our support, but they need your support. There's just ways you need to incorporate nonprofit support into your business plan. I'm a huge believer in that.
And that's what RBI Services does. Okay. So, yep. Steve.
So quickly, Synapse carries that to a whole new level. It's a network of business owners who kind of think along that route. So some of the folks that you've had on your show, Andy Taylor.
Oh.
Member of Synapse.
Let me tell you, so we had the guys on from Synapse. It is hands down the best networking group I've ever seen. It's by far. What I stand for, it's something when I first got to Richmond, I had never seen anything like it. The people are, like I said, the other groups are too. I spent the time in the military. I gave Uncle the best I had. I'm not there to bring business cards and, find leads and things like that. When I saw what Synapse was doing, I'm like, okay, this is something. So, Steve, give people who don't know what Synapse is, give them the pitch.
Sure, man.
It's outstanding.
Yep, be glad to. Synapse is a networking organization with a twist. And what we do is we center our nonprofits at the very heart of what we do. In the 900 plus meetings that we'll be hosting this year around the world on Zoom and face-to-face, we'll be featuring 40 to 50 of our nonprofit partners and potential nonprofit partners as well, so that people can network with a purpose, because it's simply a better way to create lasting, meaningful connections. We want people to connect. We want them to collaborate. We want them to contribute back to their community, because the way that we look at networking is that we are relational and not transactional. You had just mentioned that, bringing business cards and referring business, that all happens at Synapse, but it's really after the relationships have been developed and that you scratch below the surface and get to know people on a personal level, because we don't only want to know who you are and what you do, we want to know why you do it. And so that's exactly what we bring to the table every day, every week, week in, week out, all year long, every year.
And no matter which group you go to, there's something in there that touches people's hearts. So I remember when I first met Keith and Steve, and I'm like, what is this thing again? Man, this thing is outstanding. And so when you talk to people about Synapse, the word around town, everybody has the same look, like, wow. So you get the folks who are in Synapse, and that's, Jimmy, that's where we first encountered each other. I'm like, okay, what's going on with this thing right there. So Synapse now has gone from Richmond and it was Charlottesville down to the beach. You guys are going worldwide. Let's talk about when we had Keith on a while back. He was like the evangelist. You're here now. Give us some update, man.
So yeah, the worldwide phenomenon is truly that for us right now. We'd always had plans to expand, but we knew we were going to be pushing a rock uphill as we broke new markets, and we went into Charlotte, North Carolina, face to face. And after our very first meeting down there, almost 1 year to the day ago, we shut down, and we went into the as everybody did, the pandemic took hold, and we decided to get ready with Zoom. We'd already had it in place, and over a weekend, we basically retooled, and we are now having meetings right now. Let's see, lately, Dallas, Texas, Wisconsin, Phoenix, Arizona,
Yeah.
Belfast, Northern Ireland, London, England, and a few other places around as well. So it's just catching like wildfire, and people's jaws drop when they come into the meeting thinking, okay, I've been invited to a networking meeting.
You ain't
And they
seen
find
nothing
out
like
that
this.
we're connecting people.
You ain't seen nothing like this right here when people sit down. Okay, it is really hard for businesses to expand to another location and keep the culture. How do you get to another location through Zoom or the digital space to be able to capture the magic of Synapse here in Richmond? Okay, it was one thing when you went to Charlottesville. Another thing when you go to Charlotte. When you're going halfway around the world, how do you capture the magic?
What we do is attract a certain kind of person, and they almost, I mean, literally, Mike, they almost self-select. Some people will come into the meeting and say, wow, that's kind of cool. It's a little too touchy-feely for me. I'm bouncing, I'm out. And you got other people who just catch religion and say, man, this is for me. I've never seen anything like it. How do I get in? And we know right then that we have their attention, and that we can then educate them through training, through multiple meetings, and through them observing and watching how the principals in the company operate and what we stand for. That's what really allows us to be able to keep the culture. And it's actually the number one thing that we're concerned about as we grow, making the culture no different than what it is right here. We want it the same to be in Belfast or in London or in Phoenix or any of the other places that we have. And the good news is that we found the right people who actually have that spirit in them, and they are looking to do nothing but connect business brains with philanthropic hearts. That's the bottom line.
Okay, Jimmy Comer, business brains, heart for the community. That's you and Chris. Let's talk a little bit about how that is, I guess, we woven into the DNA of RBI.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's just, the nonprofits have been my niche for a long time in the insurance field. You know, the joke is I've got 2 degrees in history. Tell me a good story. And it really did. It kind of evolved from that. Originally, when I got into insurance, I wanted to work on historic properties and museums. And somebody called me on the blue one day and said, hey, so you're trying to do this with these history places and all that. Nonprofits kind of similar. We just go talk to this nonprofit. And I went out there and talked to them. And it's a nonprofit out on 9 Mile Road called Housing Families First. And I sat there and talked to the executive director, and they took this old house and turned it into a shelter to give temporary housing while they helped their clients find the permanent housing. And I was hooked. You know, the story, the passion behind it. And that's what you're gonna find with all these nonprofits is there's a story, there's a passion. You know, I tell people all the time, all the nonprofits I support, the Queen Mothership will still always be UNOS. And you want to talk about stories, UNOS, everybody in there is a story. And so it just, that's how I kind of got started. I just started going out there, learning about these guys. How can I help them? And so, you know, when we started RBI, the last thing I wanted was everybody thinking, only thing RBI does is nonprofit insurance. So Community First kind of evolved from that. because then I could call that the nonprofit support company. RBI is still there to help the small businesses and individuals, but Community First is geared right for the nonprofits.
So Community First, you guys were at Boomtown. You talked a little, so that's where you were in the past.
In the past, yep.
In the past. Okay. You're here with me. We're rocking and rolling on Sports 106. Give people an idea of what you've done in the past and what Community First is.
So Community First, we will help the nonprofits understand the business they are. Sometimes they need a little assistance. You'll have somebody with an idea, but maybe not the business background. And we can help, tweak things. Chris can sit there and help you get the accounting and the payroll side of things straight. And I will make sure the insurance is straight. I'm amazed how many times I'll talk to a nonprofit and find out they don't have directors and officer coverage for their board. And it's because they think, well, the liability covers them. Nope, two separate entities.
Oh, okay.
You've got to have D&O. So, but another thing is I'll have folks come, something I picked up on probably about 6 months ago. I think people are tired. 2020 was, I think it could be said, the three of us all fairly close in age. I don't think the three of us lived through a year like 2020 as far as stress.
No. That's sure.
We thought the pandemic, and then we saw some social stresses last summer, and people were tired by the fall. And so all of a sudden I started getting people coming to me going, I want to start a nonprofit. Well, what do you want to do? And like one, they said they want to start a food shelter up here in Hanover. Well, what's your hook? Well, I just want to get food out there. Well, we've already got Feed More right down the street. We've got ACEs. We have MCES up here in Hanover. Why not go volunteer with those guys versus starting yet another one? So that's part of it also is I can help point you in directions because your heart's in the right place, but rather than starting something brand new, go volunteer with what's already established. Don't take away potential resources from what's already established. Go in there with your ideas. There might be something that they can tweak.
That is true.
But,
ladies and gentlemen, on the mic with Mike, Community First. Jimmy Comer's here. He brought along with him Steve Peterson. We got to go away for a moment, take a break. We really quickly, I'd like to give a shout out to Jimmy for being the new sponsor for our Swagger Studios music series. This week, we're featuring Heather Marie Speaks. Anyone around town knows her. She is a mental health advocate as well as domestic abuse. And so, she's really outstanding that way. She's a great singer, too. And shout out to Jimmy Comer, RBI, for being a sponsor with that. Got to go away for a moment. We'll be back with the outstanding story of Steve Peterson, Synapse, Jimmy Comer, Mike King, rocking and rolling with you. We'll be back.
Produce the widest range of signage of any company in Central Virginia, which means we can help with any and all of a business's signage, graphics, and other visual communication needs. If you have a message to communicate, give us the opportunity to help at fastsigns.com.
My name is Jimmy Comer, co-owner of RBI Services. RBI can help businesses and individuals with their accounting, tax, and insurance needs. With over 20 years of experience, we will properly guide you at a fair price. Whether you need accounting, tax preparation, or insurance, contact us to see why we say at RBI. It all begins with the relationship. Call us at 804-677-9516. RBI is a proud supporter of Better Together as they help support families of children with complex illnesses.
My name is Isabella, and you're listening to My King Biz Hubby. That's my scam.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. That's my granddaughter, Isabella. See, I'm getting used to this whole new Zoom thing on top of it. See, it says I got Kim, she's here. She's gonna be sign language, and so hold up like the third base coach. Like don't run through. Don't run.
Keep going.
No, just stop. Okay, so Jimmy Comer here, Steve Peterson with Synapse. Steve, let's hear your Synapse journey. How'd you get into the mix?
Got into the mix the way a lot of people do. I had spent most of my career previous to this. I'm from New England originally. I spent some time in small and medium-sized businesses and startups, and moved my family down here to Richmond. I got involved in IT at Capital One, had a 15-year career there. And after all those fun and games, I decided that it was a better option for me to find a way to try to give back, start my own business. So I started my own social media management company. And as part of that, I was introduced to Keith Reynolds. He's the CEO here and my partner at Synapse. And I started attending a few Synapse meetings, caught the bug immediately, asked how I could get more involved.
And next thing you know, you're part owner.
In fact, if you fast forward, yeah, I became a hub leader, a hub honcho for Richmond Justice Initiative. They stamp out human trafficking here in Richmond and beyond. And after that, I just wanted to get involved in a more meaningful way. So just little by little, I said, this is really it. I get up every day and connect people in these really powerful, meaningful ways with the systems that I create and the way in which we do business.
So during my time at Synapse, it's outstanding, and we went to a number of the hubs were really great. They were all impactful. The one that you were the hub leader, when we heard their story, and I was there with 4 other men, everybody had the same look on their face, like, what? I mean, when you talk about human trafficking, it's not something that you think of a lot of times. And we hear, so let's show some love to the folks over there at the Justice Initiative.
Yeah. So you want to find out a little bit more about them right now?
Yeah, let's show them some love.
Sure. They're a small but mighty fighting force. And when I started with them 3 years ago, they were focused here in Richmond. Richmond, amazingly enough and regrettably enough, is always in about the top 20 every year for human trafficking. We're at the junction of 64 and 95. So that makes it a natural number one. And then just human trafficking in general is regrettably enough the second fastest growing business in the world. It is, and it includes, here in the US, it's mostly sex trafficking, but it's also organs and work as well, where people are coerced or lied to. They get themselves into a situation and then they can't get themselves out of it. So what Richmond Justice Initiative does is they go into schools to do early intervention upstream, middle schools and high schools. And they have a curriculum that teaches kids how to recognize the signs of human trafficking, how to possibly extricate themselves from it. If they think they have a friend involved in it, how to, how to make it so that they can get them out of that. And they work in conjunction actually with another nonprofit in coastal Virginia that's also a Synapse member, Safe House Project. And Safe House actually goes in and does the rescues and provides aftercare for folks who have been ensnared in human trafficking. The good news is that RJI now has touched 38,000 different kids. And it's actually a much bigger number than that because most of the kids that get educated go tell all their friends and show them how to recognize these problems. And they're now in 16 states as well. So whereas they were one small fighting force, like I said, to begin with, it's really blossoming and has become a very robust program.
So when I was there before, they were in the second floor of, I guess, this new co-working space for nonprofits. Where are they located now?
Their headquarters are located right here in Richmond in Henrico County, actually, right off of Peterson Avenue near Parham and Peterson.
Gotcha. Okay.
We were meeting at a restaurant at Willala, and that one closed. And then after that got done, we were having a few other meetings elsewhere. And then the pandemic hit. So we're all meeting just like we are meeting right now.
Yep.
Alrighty. And how can folks find you? How can people find out more information about them?
Yeah, they can. There's 2 different places. They can just look up Richmond Justice Initiative and they will find them right here in Richmond. They also have an award-winning program called the Prevention Project, which is actually the curriculum that the kids have. And I'll pop that website into the chat, and you'll be able to say that maybe at the end of the program if you want to.
I will do that. All right, Jimmy Comer.
Here's the other thing. I can promise you, Jessica Willis, who's the executive director, has already been in my ear going, I want to come on the show. So
that's how you roll. I mean, that's what you do.
Yeah, so that was already the plan, but what they do is very important in this community.
Okay, Jimmy, let's talk a little bit about what people can expect from this craziness that we got going on here, because we're bringing some people on. Because
we'll bring some people on. Next week will be Stephanie Becker.
Steph Beck back in the building. Let's see, we're bringing her to a new audience. Oh, not in the building.
New, that's right. And so we'll be bringing her back next week. We're going to be talking about Better Together, what they are doing in the community for families who have kids with severe medical complex issues. My family actually happens to be one of them, and that's why we've become very involved. RBI has with Better Together. So we'll have Stephanie. We will have the executive director of SOAR 365. That used to be known as ARC. And so we're going to talk about the evolution of that program. That's a program that's been around for a long time. They've done a lot of great things. We're going to have Amy Rose Miller.
Here we go. Friend of the program. We got to hear this. We got to hear the pig story. I mean, that's
we'll have the pig story. Yeah. But
what she's doing is outstanding. With, even when I first met her, I was like, wow, what she does as far as the food, situation for people.
But she's also a great example of what I'm talking about. She owns several businesses, but yet she still finds the time to run her nonprofit on the side, feeding a lot of people that would be forgotten about out in the rural areas.
Wow.
And, I was telling Steve about it. What I think is really cool with her is she's got Native American lineage, and she uses a lot of Native American seeds in her crops. So the history guy in me just thinks that's beyond cool.
Yeah,
but I also want to spotlight businesses that I know are doing things in the community. So we're going to have Melania Nelson on here. She's the owner of Divine Limousine, but she's a realtor, but she's also is on 3 boards around town. And it's those quiet heroes that I want to kind of give them a little nudge, come on, we're going on. We're going to talk about what you're doing, because, when people ask me, my biggest inspirations is 3 people. I remember being a kid and hearing the widow's mite parable. The widow who gave, according to Jesus, the most out of everybody in the room, even though all the others had more money, she gave the most of her heart. Mark Smith, everybody.
Touchdown.
Is, okay.
I mean, Mark Smith.
He's the best.
Yeah, and I hear his ads on the radio, and I'll stop everything. Go, what's going on? And then there's one other guy. If you grew up in Richmond, you may be aware of this. There was a guy named Thomas Cannon, and we
got 45 seconds. And Kim is giving me the short.
She said they're going, wrap it up. I promise you, we're going to talk about Thomas Cannon as this show goes on. But go look him up.
Okay, Steve with Synapse. Really quickly, how can people find you guys?
Just go to synapsehubs.com.
All righty, yep. Jimmy Comer, real quick.
So you can find us at www.rbisvcs.com or call me 804-677-9516 and come back and see us next week.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Comer, Steve Peterson. Gentlemen, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. On the Mic with Mike. We'll be back with you tomorrow trying to do it better than ever. On the Mic with Mike, we're out. Thanks now. Take care, gents.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mike.
Take care.